My name is Samba Taha, and I am the color guru. The reason why they call me that is because I've mastered the concept of color psychology, how it pertains to a person's personality, and how to better their life. I started doing this in high school, really. I was very intrigued by the concept that a person's favorite color affects their personality. And it actually came from a marketing tactic that I learned about where when you wear certain colors or if you have a logo with certain colors, it can help influence a person's decision or how they feel. And I thought that must go deeper some way, somehow. So I spent 10 years doing focus groups, experiments, doing my own studies, and I've broke down how much color influences a person, but also can help shape their personalities or determine certain parts of their personalities that they don't even realize they have. So this is going to be Samba's color psychology.
How does color reveal who I am?
The way the color personality works is every person's brain is wired a certain way, and because of the way that it's wired, it's drawn to a certain color. The most popular color on the planet is blue. And people who like the color blue oftentimes are seeking truth. They're seeking inner peace. They're seeking a way to express their emotions because they have a hard time doing so. Blues have a hard time trusting new information. They take everything with a grain of salt. So like there's pieces of the personality that comes out when it comes to the color blue. And this works for every single color. Different traits that you have are what brings you to that color. And I learned that whenever a person's favorite color changes, so has their personality. And that can come from trauma, that can come from experience, that can come from a brand new change in their life. People have gone from one color to another just based off of, growth. And I've learned that if you can change your favorite color and you can change parts of your personality, then there's ways to at least hack it to the point where you can be the best version of yourself because you know who you are as a person. If I'm My favorite color is green, and greens are very peace oriented and they're very social people. So if I don't operate in that realm, then I don't feel as though I'm being fulfilled. I need to be social. I need to talk to people, and everything I do has to revolve around the peace, the social aspect of things, and being mentally clear. I'm very practical, right? And those are where greens lie. So taking your color makes it a lot easier to understand who you are as a person, and you can dive into the specific things you need to know in order to make yourself a better person.
Can you tell me something about myself that even I hadn't realized just based on the color?
Okay, yeah, I can do that for you. Yeah, I remember you saying that your favorite color was purple. So purples are very emotional people. They're very spiritually driven. They like to express their emotions a lot. They're very forward with it. They love hard, but it's very hard for them to trust a person when it comes to their spiritual energy. So they operate off that. When it comes to the deepest need for a person whose favorite color is purple, they want to contribute to society. And usually that comes out in their job or their career. They want to be able to express their emotions, especially when they have a partner or the people in their life. They want to be able to express it very easily. If they're unable to do so, those relationships won't work for them because they are very driven by their emotions. A lot of things make them an emotional person, right? Even the way they eat, they're emotional. They're emotional eaters. So if they're not feeling the food at that moment, it's going to be like the worst thing for them to eat, right? They got to be happy to eat the food, right? Whereas greens, like me, the food isn't necessarily the issue. It's as long as it tastes good. I don't have to be emotionally connected to a food in order to want to eat it in that sense. So purples are very, very charismatic people. They're very funny. They're very good when it comes to bonding with people, but they choose not to bond with just anyone. They do it on a spiritual level. And once they do, they are attached. They are gun ho for that person. They are probably the hardest lovers when it comes to that. So that's purple for you. That's a little quick snippet. Nothing crazy, but a little quick snippet. And we'll get into more colors afterwards.
How can understanding my color personality help me solve real life problems?
So understanding your colors will do three things for you. One, it'll give you a better understanding of who you are as a person. Two, it'll help you understand where you have to go. And three, it'll reveal the problems you have. And since you asked how it can solve those problems, this is how it works. So for color purple, purples again are very emotional. So if they are being limited by their emotions, understanding the why behind that can help you understand who you need to be around, who you need to escape from, and who you need to work for, right? If you're a person that's emotional and you live and you work in an environment that's very toxic and very emotionally high, and like the energy is too much, it can be overwhelming. And that will drive you nuts because you're not understanding why the case is, why that is the case. So if you want to solve a problem, again, with purple, like let's say you have a job where you're, just a cashier, or purples aren't really good at customer service jobs. It's good to be able to find out why you're doing the things you're doing to understand why you can't work at certain positions, right? You're very emotional. So when you're happy, you're happy. When you're sad, you're sad. When you're mad, you're mad. You're all over the place in that sense. You live on the extremes. And you're going to need a job that can either engage with that can honor that, or help you regulate that. But being in customer services, you're dealing with a lot of different people, a lot of different emotions, a lot of different personalities, and you like to connect on a deep level. So you don't have time for small talk. You don't have time for weary or complex people that try to ruin your day, because it's very easy to ruin your day, especially in a 5 minute span. So if you learn how to avoid that, or find a job where you can emotionally be invested in without having to constantly regulate your emotions on your own because of all the different variables, then that will make you a lot happier because now you're working in a place where you can thrive in, right? Purples are also very good organizers. They're very good at delegating. They're very good in leadership positions, but they often avoid it. And the reason why they avoid that kind of situation is because purples are very, again, they're very emotional, but they're also spiritually driven. And if they have to be the one to tell someone what to do, they want to be able to do it in a way where they feel as though they're helping someone in some form or fashion. So as long as it's contributing to the morality of the place, or if it's contributing to society or the betterment of the business, as long as the business is a business that is honorable and that is working towards something that's going to help society, they're all gun ho for it, and that's how it will help you in that sense. For the counterpart, greens are peace oriented, so they like to work in environments where it's not stressful, not in the sense where my emotions get high, but in a sense where I'm overwhelmed with the pressure. That pressure is going to drive you nuts if your favorite color is green. So you want to avoid being in situations like that. So that's just one way that the colors can help solve your problems, especially with relationship dynamics. If you are butting heads with someone, understanding that person's favorite color and your favorite color will help you learn how to navigate around each other and how to pour into each other's cups, right? Because if you're a person that's emotional, like purple, but you're dealing with a person whose favorite color is blue, blues don't express their emotions. Blues are very wired to hold back first until they trust you. They have a hard time trusting people. Purples are weary of people because of their spiritual energy. So if they're holding back and you're trying to dig deep with their spiritual energy, that's going to cause a clash. Once he trusts you, or this person this blue person trusts you, it makes it easier for you to connect in that sense because now they're opened up more. That's when their emotions pour out. A lot of blues often go through a lull of emotions, and then it erupts randomly. And it's not that it's random, it's just that they've been holding it back so long because of the fact that they didn't trust the person that they're with. Once they trust you, it's a different story, right? Purples are going to express their emotions all the time, which means the blues, who also like to help people and like to, especially when it comes to their emotions, they're going to try to feed into your emotions to help you go through that, but they might not know how to do so. So learning your different dynamics will help you understand why you guys either mesh well or do mesh well, right? Like I said earlier, the most popular color is blue, and blues are very big in their values, especially when it comes to what they believe is to be a truth. what they believe in to be the truth as far as their religion. A lot of blues lean towards religion, may not necessarily believe in all 100%. They might not. They might be a little wary of it. They might even seek different forms of religion, but they need to believe in something. They have to believe in something. And if they don't believe in what you believe, not only will that be a one divider, but if the values don't even link up or sync up, that's what makes it a bigger divider. If they value family, which blues do value family, but you're a person that likes to be alone and don't want to spend time with anyone, it's going to cause a little bit of tension in that sense. It's going to be a matter of push and pull in that sense. So understanding who you're around is another way that colors will help you understand them and help you solve those problems. It makes it a lot easier. Understanding who your boss is, right? Different management styles. If you're a person whose favorite color is red, reds are very high energy. They're goal oriented. They're action oriented. They don't necessarily think things through because they can be very impulsive. But I'm gonna get it done one way or another, regardless of what mistakes I make, regardless of how it looks or how it goes. If the job gets done, the job gets done. Those are gonna be your salesmen. Those are gonna be you know, your entrepreneurs. Those are your businessmen that are trying to start something new on their own without trying to think too hard. Greens are good at business, so they end up being in management positions. But reds are going to be the ones that's going to be trying to go for everything. They're risk takers. Greens aren't risk takers. So if you're a green that wants to try something new, but you're very weary about it, you're going to overthink it. You're going to think it so much to the point where you'll get nothing done. But understanding the why behind that, then you can start to learn different avenues and different tactics to work around those different blocks. And that's what you want to do. That's how I'll help you with your color.
What kind of transformation can I expect from working with you?
Working with me, you'll get a couple of different things, but one of them is going to be your biggest transformation. Yeah. So when you work with me, I uncover your colors and I uncover the whys behind the things you do. We'll dig into certain traumas you may have. We'll dig into family dynamics. We'll dig into work life. We'll mainly dig into who you want to be as a person and why you can't be that person. And then we'll see the person you're supposed to be based off your color and why your wants may not work with your desires or what you need, right? Sometimes a lot of us want to be successful. A lot of us want to be very fit. A lot of us wants to, be in happy relationships or, you know, contribute in some way. But sometimes if it's not who we are as a person, that makes it so much harder to do those things. Sometimes we're conditioned to do things because we think we have to. We're conditioned to do things because of our families or society, and that battle within us can cause us to go through depression. It can cause you to go through different kinds of turmoil within you. And once we uncover that, you'll understand the why. So a transformation is honestly probably the biggest part of what I do. I take who you are now, break down your colors, break down your values, your desires, your insecurities. I break down everything to the point where you can pinpoint certain parts of you that is coming from you and other parts that are coming from society or expectations or your families or your relationships. And then we'll see what's battling. And from there, within a month, your confidence will be different. Your understanding of yourself will be different. And you'll be able to start making strides towards your new transformation. I've worked with people that have never dated a person in their life and they don't know how to talk to people. They don't know how to express their emotions. And I've gotten them to a point where it's so easy for them to do so now. They're unrecognizable. They are completely different people. And that came from, again, them understanding who they are. That's really the core of it. When you understand yourself, everything else makes more sense. You know, think about students that go to school and there's students that just don't want to do schoolwork. It's not that they can't, it's just that it's not in them to sit in a classroom and write things down and try to study it a certain way. They rather do things with their hands. They rather be, actively doing something. I always tell people that college isn't for everyone, but if you can, then yeah, go through it. But understand that if it's not for you, you won't get through with it because it's not something that's in you until you need to do it, until it becomes a necessity. And we live off of desire, necessity, and our true selves. And I try to find that core portion of a person who is their true self, find out their needs and their wants and all that good stuff to the point where they know how to operate. And from there, they're much happier with themselves. They're much happier with their choices. They're much happier with just everything around them. And it's a beautiful, beautiful transformation entirely. I love that. I love that.
Why do I keep repeating certain patterns? And how does color psychology uncover them?
So, growing up, you're conditioned to believe certain things. Sometimes it's trauma, sometimes it's necessity, survival, desire, whatever the case is. Your patterns develop based off experience. But the reason behind those patterns comes from your colors, right? We can have two of the same people that are hard workers, but the reason behind their hard workers is really what determines the type of work they do, the type of person they are when they're under pressure or stress. It'll help them. It's the core value of who they are that determines the why. So if I have a person whose favorite color is blue, blues are the soldiers of the world. They're willing to take lead as long as they trust where the lead is coming from. Blues will get the work done as long as it makes sense to them and they trust it, right? Whereas reds are very fiery, passionate people, so they're going off passion. If they are happy to do this job, they will stop at nothing to get it done. They'll stop at nothing. Nothing can stop them. And it's very hard workers in two different ways, right? One needs to be led, one wants to lead themselves. And if you work with, a person whose favorite color is red or something, reds are very involved. They want to be part of the decision making. Whereas blues want their decisions to be taken into consideration. That's two different things. They might give you the same idea, but the reason behind those ideas is really what takes a person to different places. And your patterns are the same way. Whether it's trauma, whether it's, survival, we develop things to make sure that we are comfortable with who we are in those situations. If I seek peace and I'm in a toxic, hectic, stressful environment, a lot of people that seek peace are going to shut down, especially if they become vocal and it backfires on them. So they might shut down to not even speak to do so. And if your favorite color is green, you learn how to maneuver around people without expressing yourself and doing so. And that can be very dangerous. So breaking out of those patterns starts from understanding where they come from. And that is where I come in, right? That's where I come in. That's where I show the pattern, find out where the pattern repeats, and then we try to veer it off into a different pattern. And from there, it can start to unravel itself and becoming less of a pattern for you.
How do you intend to personalize your coaching style to fit me and the person that I am?
It's a very good question, especially since you can realize there aren't that many colors in the world and everyone's different in a sense. And that's kind of where it starts from. So there's two parts of the color psychology. First is your favorite color, which is who you are to society, who you are when you're around other people, who you are when you're on the go, your subconscious, and things like that. Then there's the second part, which is your second favorite color. This is the underlying version of you. This is the you to yourself. When you're alone, when you're in your inner monologues, when you're trying to contemplate whether or not you made a right decision, that's where your inner parts come in. So I'll do me. That's a very good example because I have probably the two most popular colors. My first favorite color is green, but my second favorite color is blue. So greens are very social people. We are very, I'm not saying we're extroverts, not necessarily that, but we like to be social. We like to be involved with different people. We like to talk to certain people. We kind of need human interactions a lot more than other people, right? Whereas the blues are very reserved, right? And they don't like to be in positions that they don't trust, right? So how does that work, right? A person that wants to be involved with everyone but don't trust anyone in the same on the same coin. So what we do in that sense, I take who you are in society, break down those needs and wants, and then break down your inner version of yourself, and personalize it to you based off your history with your, yourself as a person. Have you ever had depression? Have you ever dealt with trauma with family? Different ways survive, whatever the case is. I take those colors connected to you in your life, and that's where the personalization comes in. Not people can have two of the same favorite colors, but one might be different than the other. Blue first and green, although they're the same colors, have two different effects than green than blue. If your first favorite color is blue, then you don't trust anyone, which means you're going to be not as open to being social. But once you get to that point where you're trusting these people, you're going to be a lot more social in every single aspect. Or if you were to go to a party and your favorite color is blue, you need someone at that party that you know. You need someone there that you can trust to join that party. Greens don't necessarily need to trust anyone. They just need to know that it's going to be peaceful and won't be a dangerous thing, and they'll probably join it if they're in the mood to go. You know, and that flip makes a huge difference. So we personalize it based off of your color, your own personal experiences, your own desires, because everyone has different goals. So if your goal is to do one thing, but your color is saying something else, that's something that we focus on. If your goal is to be on this level, but your two different colors are battling out because they're not in sync, then we try to bring it back to this level by incorporating another color, or we might incorporate another tactic where you're avoiding certain aspects of one color than the other. And from there, it becomes a lot easier for you to do what you want and what you need. So it becomes very personalized because we break down the color to a T. So far, I've just been giving you surface level things, but it gets really deep. I can get down to your sleep patterns. I can get down to how you like to have sex. I can tell you preference in music, food, the people around you, work. I can get really, really deep.
What do others say about working with you?
That's a good question. That's a good question. People seem to like to work with me. It's just that simple. And I don't mean that in a very cocky way. I don't want to toot my own horn, but people feel very safe with me. They feel very drawn to my aura, I guess, my energy. And from just that alone, it becomes very fluid with people. I've gotten people that I've worked with on different levels. I've worked with people that are 60 and above. I've worked with kids. I've worked with college students, parents, people in their 30s and 40s, and it's always been a pleasurable experience. It's never been anything that was too hectic or too stressful, or there's no animosity between anyone. I'm very gentle when it comes to approaching certain topics, and they seem to love it. That's really all it is. And they're very satisfied with the solutions. They're very satisfied with the results. When it comes to working on you, I make it about you. I don't make this about me. I might throw in a couple of anecdotes to kind of get some perspective and help you understand different angles, but I make it about you. I make it focused on you, your desires, what you need. More than anything, is more about what you need than what you want, and who you need to be. And they love it in the end. Sometimes they back. Sometimes it's some tugs because I tell them that they might need to do this, and they're like, "That doesn't make sense to me," or they never experienced it that way. And I'm telling them like, "Listen, you gotta go for it." And when that happens, and they go for it, they realize, "Wow, this is all I needed the whole time. This is literally what I've been craving for, but never even realized that it was a craving." You know, and they really enjoy it. They really enjoy it. Thank you guys for listening. It's been it's been a ride. I spent a lot of time doing this. I spent a lot of time perfecting this. It's taken up 10 years of my life, not in a bad way. I definitely had other projects I've worked on. I've been, I still was able to live my life, but it took time, and I'm still nervous about it in the sense where I'm not used to being on camera. I'm not used to being the forefront of something like that, but this is my baby. I love this. It's become a huge part of me that I naturally just do this. I'll walk up to a person and be like, "Hey, what's your favorite color?" and just dive into their personality. It gets a little weird sometimes because they get a little thrown off by it, but I'm constantly analyzing people's favorite colors. I try to even guess from time to time, what a person's favorite color based off how they walk. And I'm usually pretty right. I'll get some wrong here and there. I'm not gonna lie, but it's very little information to go off of. But I'm usually pretty solid. I'm pretty solid, and I love that. You know, if I could talk to younger me, who was really into body language and learning how people speak without speaking, he would love this. I'm glad I was able to pursue it the way I am, and I want to get big. I want to get on TED Talks. Get me on a TED Talk. Get me on a TED Talk. Get me on a TED Talk. You know what I'm saying? Get me on a TED Talk. That's my goal. I wanna get somewhere with that. And I want to change the world. I really do. And I think understanding the people around you and yourself makes a huge difference on how you even communicate, on how you talk to people. There's so much negativity in the world. There's so much battles that could be easily avoided if you just understood the other side a little better. You know what I'm saying? If even like within like relationships, like this whole men versus women battle makes no sense to me. I've been mentioning some of my videos on social media, but I hate it. It makes no sense. But if you understood the other side and understood yourself, a lot of miscommunication would be avoided. A lot of misunderstandings would be avoided. A lot of conflict would just disappear. And that's what I want. I just want peace. I just want happiness. I want prosperity. And that's what I'm striving for. That's what I'm going for. So if you want that, join me. If you want to at least improve yourself, join me. If you want to fix your relationships, join me. If you want to find out your path in life, join me. If you want to know how to operate, join me. You want to fix your family dynamic, join me. Your wedding your marriage dynamic, join me. You and your kids, join me. You want to just get to know me, join me. We'll make it happen. Thank you guys for listening. I appreciate you guys.